Hello and welcome to Code Club. My name's John and this is
John.
So we both volunteer at Wallasey Central Library. Obviously for the time being we're doing some virtual sessions. Hopefully we'll be back in the library soon. So hopefully everybody saw our post about the Microbit Foundation giving some free microbits away. If you've been coming to the sessions in the library, you may have already used them because we've got some there. And when the libraries reopen, you can actually take microbits out in the same way that you would take a book out as well. So if you don't have a microbit, don't worry about it, because we can actually use a microbit simulator on the website, so we'll talk about that. If you did get a microbit, that's great. We'll talk about some of the wonderful things that you can do with it. Do you want to take the microbit out the box, John? So we've added a second camera in, so that we can see what we're doing with the microbit as well. And so the microbit, I think they were released in 2016 with the idea of the inexpensive little boards with 25 LEDs. They've got a accelerometer so they can sense movement, and they've got a compass in as well. And so
They have a light sensor as well.
they've got a light sensor, and they've also got inputs and outputs as well.
Like radio.
Yeah, and they've got Bluetooth so that if you have another microbit, you can get them to talk to each other, or you can connect them to your phone or your computer, and you can do all kinds of great stuff. But the idea is that they're a step on from scratch, because they're adding a physical level to the coding, which makes things a bit more interesting for kids. Alright, so what we're going to do, there's actually several different websites available where you can go, and there's projects and you can follow through. Obviously we're a code club, so what we're going to do is we're going to start off looking at the projects on the Raspberry Pi website. So another useful website might be, we can actually go to the Microbit website. There's a lot of information on there if you want to learn a bit more than we've covered. And I probably should have clicked on these before, but to give you an idea of the cool things that you can build up to, there's robots. Here's another robot.
Microbit move.
Yeah. Here's a zip halo with neopixels. But I mean, you don't need any of these things. You can literally just use the board and program that. So what we'll do first of all is we'll go to find the website. If we go to Google, and if we just type in Raspberry Pi projects, and it is. Oh, sorry.
I have to swap the USB cable because this one's a
No.
little funky.
That one's absolutely fine, matey.
It just needed a bit of a prompt.
Okay. Alright, so we've gone to Google, we've typed in Raspberry Pi projects, and does this top link take us where we need to go? Yeah, so we've gone to Google, we've typed in Raspberry Pi projects, and it's the top link. So then we go to Code Club, and we'll scroll down, and it's Microbit on the left hand side. And in the same way, if you've done the Scratch project with us, the guys at the Raspberry Pi Foundation have thought of some cool ideas and broken them down into step-by-step actions that you can follow along, and you can use to program the microbit. So similar to so what we're going to do is, we're going to look at fortune teller first of all. So we've gone to Microbit projects, and then we're going to click on fortune teller. And the idea is that we're going to program the board so that if we press the A button, it displays yes or no in a random fashion, so we can ask it questions and it gives us a randomized answer. So you're going to code your microbit to read the future. Simply ask the microbit a question and press a button to find out the answer. Instructions. If you're reading this online, ask the microbit below a question and press A to get your answer. So, do you want to ask it a question, John? Ask it something nice. Maybe ask it something about food.
Oh, you mean literally just
Yeah, just ask the screen, yeah.
What am I going to have for dinner?
Alright, it needs to be a yes or no question. Okay, is our dinner going to be tasty? So we press the A button. Yes, that's a good answer. Alright, so
Also has to be some chicken.
let's go to introduction. Did I go too far then? I did. Just click back. Oh no, I didn't. Did I?
Scrolling text. Yeah, you want the text to scroll, press A.
Alright. Okay, so the other website that we need, and this is really the only one that you need if you're following along with us, is the Make Code website. So we need to go to makecode.microbit.org. Now, if we're just going to Google it, we can go make code, and then if we start typing microbit, so we've typed make code MI, and it's the first thing that comes up. So, and it's the first link, yeah. Now, in the same way that we've used Scratch, and that's the IDE, the interface, which allows us to build the blocks of code in Scratch. This is the interface that allows us to build code for the microbit. Now, it's slightly different to Scratch in that we don't need to create a login. What the guys at the Microbit Foundation have done is it remembers you, and as long as you're logging in from the same browser, it'll remember your projects. Now, the other thing that we can do later on is you can actually download your projects onto your computer and save them, so we'll cover that as well. So, I mean, one of the things that you'll notice here is that there's actually, I mean, we're following a project on the Code Club website, but there's actually projects that are built into this interface as well.
Kind of got the same idea as us with the live coding.
Yeah, there's some live coding on there as well. Obviously, it's not as good as ours. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and, do you want to select new project, John? So, what we'll do is I will move between the sheet, the project, and the interface, and then you just use the blocks. So, we just talk about the interface a little bit. It's very similar to Scratch in the way that we've got the different blocks arranged. We've got the basic blocks, the input blocks, music, LED, radio, loops, variables, and math blocks. And click on advanced, and then we start getting really quite complicated.
And then you've got the extensions for NeoPixels and different motors and stuff.
You can add extensions in the same way that you add extensions into Scratch, which are just libraries of code that just extend the functionality. Do you want to delete the forever loop?
Okay, so just do that.
Yeah, well, just don't delete it, but if you just right click. So if we right click on a block, we can duplicate, we can add comments to our code, we can delete a block. What does help do?
It brings up the tab, and I think it just explains the block.
Does it help us understand what the forever block is?
I think the internet's being a little slow. Oh, no, there.
Alright, so we've clicked on help, and it just tells us a little bit about what the forever block does. So go back up and we'll just read what the forever block does. All right. Keep running part of the program in the background. All right. Example. The following example constantly checks the compass heading. All right. So, I mean, we spoke about forever blocks when we were using Scratch. The idea is that when you put code into a forever block, it loops. It starts at the top, it works its way through the code blocks, and then it goes back to the start, and it just keeps going forever, as the name suggests. Right, so, oh no, just get rid of that.
That's just showing it in a big browser.
Alright, another aspect of the Microbit interface is primarily, for our purposes, we're going to be using blocks-based code. However, the blocks-based code that we're going to be using is actually based off a language called JavaScript, which is a widely used language. So I think for the majority of kids, it's going to be interesting to look and see the blocks that we're adding in. What would they look like in a real world situation using JavaScript? So we've currently got an on-start block and we've got a forever block. And if we were to actually look at JavaScript, then that's what that looks like. Now, I hope that doesn't sound too daunting. As I say, primarily, we're just going to be using blocks. So, alright, let's look and see what this project is. So, if you want to take over, I'll read it out, John. So, let's start by scrolling some text instructions on your microbit. Alright, so we're not going to click on the link because we've already opened it. To start a new project in the Make Code PXT editor, call your new project fortune teller. So do you want to name the project, John? So, mate, you use the trackpad and keyboard.
I prefer a mouse because it means I don't have to leave.
Alright, but you're going to have to name it, so you're going to have to use the keyboard as well, aren't you?
It's run it. Name it down there.
Yeah, so at the bottom, by default it's untitled, and John's just given it the name of fortune teller. Alright, now what happens if we click save? Does it save it to the interface, or does it actually give us the option to download it? So we click save, and it actually downloads it as a file to our computer, but we're going to talk about that later. We're going to encounter that when we're loading the code onto the microbit itself. So, do you want to... What's the next thing it says to do? You can delete the forever block by dragging it over the palette. You don't need it for this project. So, do you want to delete the forever block, John?
So, the forever block...
Alright, so do it as it's outlaid in the project. So what John's done there is he's right clicked on it and dragged it over. No, we're not.
I know, I was just doing a demonstration.
Okay. So click back to the project. Alright. Drag a show string block inside your start block. So that is a basic block, isn't it? So click back. Yeah, basic. Show string. So when it says string, all it's talking about is a combination of characters. So hello is a string, or press button A would be a string. It's just a combination of characters that we're going to output. So do you want to type in press button A? So we're going to set it so that when the project starts, so it's press button A. Press button A. Right, why are those quotation marks there? Take the quotation marks out. Yeah. So when the microbit starts, we want it to scroll across the LEDs, press button A. So, I mean, the show string could be anything. It could be your name, it could be a message. But for this purposes, because we're doing fortune teller, we're going to set it to press button A so that the user knows what they're doing. Alright, shall we see what the next thing is? So have you got microbits in school?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that we're going to do lessons on them, or at least we should have done lessons on them.
Alright, maybe you get to do them when you go back.
I think I tried to start my own club in school.
You did. You tried to start your own Microbit club, didn't you? Alright, so it says, test your code. Can you see it on the emulator? Alright, so this is the other thing that we didn't talk about. This is the emulator on the left-hand side. And in the same way as on a physical Microbit, we can press the buttons. We can press button A. We can press button B. We can stop the code. We can start the code. We can refresh the code. We can slow it down. We can mute it. And this one will also allow us to set it to full screen as well. So, making a decision. Move on to the next page. Let's get your Microbit to make a decision by randomly choosing a number, 0 for no and 1 for yes. Add a new on button A pressed event to your code. So, we're adding an event. We're going to tell the Microbit to listen for an event when it happens. And in the same way that with Scratch we've got when green flag clicked or when sprite clicked, this is very similar to that. Do you want to add on button A pressed in, John?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where's the last one?
So that's an input, yeah.
And drag it out. If we do need other ones, there's a drop down bar.
Yeah, so obviously it gives us whatever the combinations are, A or B or A and B, so that it listens for different events. Alright, so let's create a new variable to store the answer. Click the variables and then click make a variable. Alright, so do you want to go ahead and... Oh no, okay. Yep. Do you want to go ahead and create a variable? What are we calling it? What are we calling the variable? Answer. Alright.
Let's go down to variables.
Yeah, make a variable. Cool. So, let's go back and have a look. Drag a set block from the variables into your on button A pressed block and select the answer variable. So if we look at the example it's given us, it's telling us what blocks to use. So we're going to use our on button A pressed and we're going to add a set block in, set answer to 0. Alright, do you want to drag that across? So we've gone to variables on the left hand side, and then because we've created the variable answer, it's starting to give us some blocks to choose from. So set answer to 0. Yeah. Alright. As you can see, the 2 in the block means that you can set the answer to display. Does that read properly? As you can see, the 2 in the block means that you can set the answer to display. Click math and drag a pick random block after the 2. So again, we can see there's an example there. So we're gonna, so they're like operators, aren't they, in Scratch?
Like in Scratch, yeah. Operators are green, whereas in this they're purple.
Yeah. Alright, do you want to add a math block in?
So it's just under the variables, and so let's scroll down a little bit.
Yeah, pick random.
Pick random. It should highlight the bit where you're dropping it in yellow as you're dropping it in.
And you need to set that from 0 to 1. Alright. So we're saying pick a random number between 0 and 1. And there's some clever stuff that goes on in the code that will randomize the selection that returns.
So there we go. I thought it like usually if you press the block then it will do a number underneath.
So the thing is we haven't set yes or no at this point, have we?
Yeah, but you can, if you press like the purple block that's already there, it will show a little speech bubble with one or the whatever number is.
This one.
The purple one.
This one.
Yeah, usually it will show it underneath. I think that may be in Scratch actually.
Alright.
But you can just use it as a random number generator.
Tell the random block to choose a number between 0 and 1. Here's how your code should look. So we've already done that. We've updated it between 0 and 1. Next, you want to display the word no on the microbit only if the answer is 0. So we are going to put an if statement in. If true. Okay, so to do this, drag an if block onto the bottom of your on button A pressed. So again, it's allowing us to see how it should look, and we're going to add this if true then block in. Right, do you want to do that?
So go logic and
yeah, it's the top one.
If true then. Is it in there?
Yeah, that's the one. Next, drag an equals block as the condition in the if. So if 0 equals 0, then
I think we'll probably end up putting a variable in there and then setting it to a
that's exactly
0.
that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're adding this. So maybe this is more like the operator, John. The equals. I think that's more like an operator, isn't it?
Yeah, but in Scratch, the pick random is an operator.
All right. So, do you want to add this equals in? Yeah. So again, it's a
Logic again.
Logic block.
This one. Drag it out. It has a drop down bar, so you can change it.
Yeah. And then we're going to set the first value to the variable answer. So choose variables, drag answer across. Awesome.
And I think you can press the plus to add an if then else thing. I think that's it, if then else.
So any code inside the if block will only run if the answer is 0, as 0 is no. Let's add a show string block. Alright, so should we just read through it? So we're saying that on the event of the A being pressed, set answer to pick random between 0 and 1. Now if the number that's returned is 0, then we want it to show the string no. Yeah, that makes sense?
Yeah, so if it's 0, it's no, and then we're going to say...
We're saying pick a random number between 0 and 1, and if that random number is 0, if that random number that is generated is 0, show the string no. So we're adding this block in, aren't we? Show string no. So, do you want to go ahead and do that?
Basic input, and then show string.
Yeah, set that to no. Yeah. Should we capitalise the N just so that it looks better when it's scrolling?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Alright. So, test your code. Sometimes the answer will be 0 and the microbit should say no. Sometimes the answer will be 1 and nothing will happen. Why will nothing happen if it's 1, John?
Because we haven't set it to do anything.
Yeah.
I think if we set it to do an else, then if it does anything else, then...
So, that's exactly it. We're going to get onto that in a minute. So should we test it? Do you want to click? Click A? You want to click the A button?
A.
So that must be nothing. Click it again. That's a 0. That's a 1. That's a 0.
Because it has a 50-50
Click it again.
chance, so it should do it the same.
That's a 0. That's a 0. Because it's not always going to return 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1.
It has the possibility.
It has the possibility.
It's a 50-50 chance. So for every, if we click it 4 times, for every one we should get a 0.
Alright, so let's let's move on to the next page.
That's just some random possibility stuff I learned in maths.
Oh, cool. Can you add the code so that yes is displayed on the microbit if the answer is 1? You can even change the text to show something more interesting than just yes. Alright, so we're going to add an else in. So if we do that,
you can then take it off there and add more here like that. So you need another logic. Is it else if though? So we need another logic here.
So so John has right-clicked on answer, and he's gone to duplicate, which has duplicated the block on the stage, and he's then dragged it in. So just talk about how you added the else if in. Maybe just remove it and start again. All right. So yeah, look. So
that's gonna delete the blocks in it.
All right. So we just dragged them across.
We've done it anyway.
And then we're going to take that away. So what John's done there is we're adding some additional functions to the if block, and we're doing. So how do we do the? How did you do the else if else?
So I could do that, and I can do that, and you can just do it infinitely.
All right.
Pretty much.
So if somebody's at home now, by default it just does else, doesn't it? Else show string.
But then if you press it again, it will change it. But we're okay with just an else.
All right. Should we just see if it gives us? All right. Tip: you can right click on the if block to duplicate the block and its contents. So.
Oh, they're wanting us to duplicate it and put it underneath.
So we're creating two separate if blocks. So we're trying to be too clever, aren't we? So are we just going to go?
Just on the top there.
All right, we're going to go duplicate.
Then drag it and put it just inside underneath. I think. Set that to 1 and set it to yes as well.
What's this? Why is it doing this?
It's doing that because it's not connected to anything.
So if we connect it.
If we connect it, it'll get its colour back.
Okay.
It's just saying that code is not going to run because it's not connected to anything.
Okay, so if answer 0, then show string no. If answer equals 1, then show string yes. Should we test it? So John's clicking the A button. Okay, so that's a 0. That's a 0. That's a 1.
So it does work.
Alright, so.
And just for the sake of it, I was going to put an exclamation mark on the end, but then move the mouse.
Alright, so we've set it and it's just listening for the event if A pressed, and then we're saying generate an answer number, generate a random number, set answer to
the random number.
So this variable, we're setting this variable to be a random number between 0 and 1. And then we're saying if the variable is 0, show string no. If the variable is 1, then show string yes. Alright, so it's doing exactly what we want it to up until this point. Alright, so now it's saying instead of pressing the A button, we're going to set it so that the event that it's listening for is we're going to be when we shake the microbit, and we do this.
Once we've finished, are we going to show it that? Has that already got it on?
Yeah, because I did it.
Oh.
Alright, so
Still sure they want to download it.
We shake it.
It's a little round.
Yes.
It looks a little odd on the camera.
Yes. No. Alright, so we're going to do that.
I'll show them how to download it.
Should we show them how to download it first? Alright, so we've gotten to this point in the project. We've built the code and
it works.
It works. Now, the fun bit is seeing it work on your microbit. So how do we do it, John? You tell us.
So, the mouse off the screen again. Let's go. We're on the website and there's this big button down here for download, or there's the little one here for save. So we want to press the big download button and it should start spinning. and then it will tell you that it's downloaded, and it will tell you the name of it, and it's a hex file.
Alright, so the name of the file that we're going to be looking for on the computer is microbit-fortune-teller.hex. So if you click download, come on, you need to click download. It's
downloaded.
Has it done it? Is that the one? Let's start again, because is that the one that we did before?
No, that's the same
Alright,
one.
let's just do it again just in case. So, was it download that you
Big
clicked?
green download, a big button there, yeah.
So we click download.
It is downloaded,
He's right.
as I said. But it's just in case it doesn't download,
Alright.
then you can re-download it with the button there.
So if we were to press this, what happens?
It downloads it again.
Downloads it again. Alright. Downloaded it twice just to be safe. Alright, so then what we do is we need to find the file on the computer. Now we're using Google Chrome, and I think probably most people use Google Chrome. So if we right click on the download and the download at the bottom,
it shows it in folder at the
show in
side
folder.
of it.
And I mean, we can see we've downloaded it 4 times here, haven't we? And all it does each time is it just adds a number onto the end, but it's every single one of these is the same file. Now if we look in the left hand column, we can see that amongst all our drives is Microbit.
If you've got multiple, the letter will change, like Microbit E, Microbit D, Microbit F.
Alright, so we're going to take the file, and do you want to hold that slightly up to the camera and show the little light on the back? Show the light on the back, Johnny. Alright, just you need to get it in shot, don't you?
Alright. It's just focusing because I keep moving.
Okay, so what we're doing is I'm right clicking on the file, and then I'm dragging it across, and I'm dropping it onto the Microbit. Now if you watch the picture, there's a little light on the back and it flashes. Can you see that?
It's not very clear on the picture, but it is.
Alright, there's
quite a bit.
There's a little LED on the back. Now when that flashes, it's an indication that the data is being written to the Microbit. So
now if we shake it, it shouldn't do anything because we haven't finished the project probably. But if we press A, so off connection. Have you dragged the right file on?
I don't know. Check it out.
I'm not sure what you've done there,
so
but I'm just gonna.
What we can do? Let's do a couple of
just
things.
Go.
So first of all, we're gonna unplug it.
Oh, it's gone.
And then we're gonna plug it back in. So we can see that light's flashing again.
Oh. And then.
All right. So what John's done there is he's gone to the one which is hex 3, which is the most recent one that we've saved.
We'll drop it
so when you drop it in, and we can see the light's flashing, and there's also the progress bar going across the screen. So there's 2 indicators.
We're done now. It said that it was on there.
Now we can see that it is. So we just copied the wrong file across. So just be aware.
It's because you downloaded it at the start and you dragged the first file.
All right. Now at this point we can shake it.
Can you?
And it shouldn't do anything, should it? So if we shake it, it doesn't do anything because we haven't added the code in to shake. But what we can do is we can press A.
I don't think it liked you shaking it.
Ask it a question.
Is my dinner gonna have cheese in it?
Okay. Is Johnny's dinner gonna have cheese in it? Yes. Are you happy about that? Alright.
I like cheese.
Alright, so let's finish this off anyway. So we're just closing all them down, clicking the crosses, and then we'll go back to the project. So, we are going to add the shake your microbit code in. Can you code your microbit to make a decision when it's shaking instead of when the button is pressed? So, do you think, I don't know if it gives us an example in a minute, but can we figure it out? So, at the moment, the event that it's listening for is on button A pressed.
Would you have the drop down bar from before on the button A pressed?
Well, look here.
I think it should.
Look here. So, the input that we're going to be looking for is on shake.
And we just drag the code across.
So we'll drag that one across, and then we're going to take all the blocks. So we just go to the top. It's always the top block. and then we drag it down and
Plop it in.
put it in the event on shake. So we're going to get rid of that on button A pressed. Now, again, the simulator's now got a little bit more functionality in it's got a shake option here. So we shake.
You can wiggle your mouse and it'll work as well.
Can you do that?
If you do it fast enough.
Alright. So what does it say?
Shake it with your mouse.
Yes.
Then shake it with your mouse. Oh, it did it, yeah.
No.
Just shake it with your mouse.
Shake. Alright, so we're shaking it in the simulator. Or we can press. Alright, so let's copy this code across again. Do you want to do it, John?
Go again.
Come on, you do it.
Download. Oh, wait for that to come off.
So right click on the file at the bottom. It's the one on the left. Right click, show in folder. Yeah,
So
and it's Microbit Fortune Teller 4.
because it's the largest number because it's the biggest.
We've got Microbit on the left hand side. And we're copying it across. And you've got your visual indicator on the screen, but then you've also got the dot flashing on the back.
And then it should just go, it should start flashing red when it turns
Alright, so we
on.
probably need to change that string as well because it's saying press A, isn't it? Should probably want to say shake me. Alright, so we're shaking it. Bear with us. Okay, ask it a question.
Do I like cheese?
No. You don't like cheese.
What I do?
Alright, should we capitalise the S? To make it look better when it's scrolling. Yeah. Should we do shake me? Shake me. Alright. So we're going to copy it across. So right click. Sorry, don't right click. What am I doing? Download.
Then we can show in folder.
Yeah, right click. Show in folder. There we go. So it's Fortune Teller 5.
And then
Right,
we want to
find the microbit on the left hand side. Drag it across.
flashing light.
Oh. Our 3-year-old's making a break for it.
I may need to just stop her.
No, you're alright. Come and sit back down, matey. Come and sit down.
She's not waiting for me to
Come and sit down. Okay, so there's nothing on there. Alright, but where's the string? Right, just so we want to reset it, so there's actually a reset button on the back as well.
Or you can just unplug.
So we reset it. And okay, so there's a reset button on the back, so we press the reset button, it restarts the program.
You haven't really shown the reset button.
Nope.
Shown the thumb.
And there's the string moving across. Alright, so I think that's pretty much it. Do you want to ask it some more questions? Go on, ask it a question.
I'm not sure. Is Code Club nearly finished?
Ah, no, it's not really finished. Alright, don't know, what can we ask it?
Is Microbit good?
No. Alright.
What's coming from a Microbit?
We've obviously programmed it wrong because Code Club is nearly finished, and you know, microbits obviously are good. Okay, so let's have a quick look. Don't fiddle, matey.
Okay, I was just getting the box
So,
out ready.
what's next? Congrats, the project is complete. Now, one of the things that you can do, and we're going to be looking at more projects over the next couple of weeks to do with Microbit, but if you're wanting to get stuck in, again, the project that we've just gone through, there's several other ones. Go to the Raspberry Pi Project's website. There's loads. Some of them need extra bits. So, for example, frustration.
You need like some
You need crocodile
wire.
clips. You need wire.
Some electrical
yeah.
tape.
So if you've ever seen frustration, it's like you're moving the holder along the wire, and if you touch the wire, it makes a buzzing noise.
So you have to clutch.
So we're going to do that in a few weeks.
Ground and
yeah.
basically, it's just using connections. So you've got your ground and your 3-volt.
John, we don't need to go into it now, mate.
And then if you connect them to any of those
All right,
pins,
so
it creates a circuit.
Hopefully everybody had a good time. As I say, there's loads more projects on there. Let us know how you get on. Get your mummy and daddy to share some pictures or whatever of your projects on our Facebook or on our Twitter. All right, and we'll see you all next week at 3 o'clock. See you all then.